Audible's romance collection has something to satisfy every side of you. When it comes to what kind of romance you're into, you don't have to choose just one. Fancy a dalliance with a duke, or maybe a steamy billionaire. You could find a book boyfriend in the city and another one tearing it up on the hockey field. And if nothing on this earth satisfies, you can always find love in another realm. Discover modern rom-coms from authors like Lily Chu and Ali Hazelwood, the latest romantasy series from Sarah J. Maas and Rebecca Yarros, plus Regency favorites like Bridgerton and Outlander. And of course, all the really steamy stuff. Your first great love story is free when you sign up for a free 30-day trial at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Denton Day coming up in 30 minutes. We'll talk national college football storylines. I'll give you my SEC picks against the spread, how those fared back on Saturday. Got some thoughts on the SEC action that we took in on Saturday before LSU took down Florida 20-10. That wasn't the only good news of the last 72 hours for the Tiger football program. Peyton Houston has committed to the Tigers. Evangel Eagle quarterback who set a national record for passing yards in a single game as a sophomore. Is now a junior quarterback there in Shreveport, and he pledges to the Tigers this morning to talk about it. We bring on Sonny Shipp, 24/7 Sports, good enough to give us a little bit of time on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sonny, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing quite well. I think Brian Kelly, Joe Sloan, and company are as well. We've been talking about this quarterback class of 2027 now for over a year because of the connectivity that LSU has to Houston, Colton Nussmeier, and Elijah Haven based on geography and biology. And finally, one of those does pledge to LSU. Peyton Houston commits to the Tigers over Oklahoma today. Were you surprised that he picked LSU?
I tell you what, man. I was about to ask you out of the three quarterbacks that you mentioned, you know, not many people would have pegged Peyton Houston to be that guy. And you know, even going into the visit this weekend, you know, he was on campus for the Florida game. I thought this was just a token visit. This was just kind of you know, checking out the atmosphere, seeing how things was going and stuff. And because, like, you know, you had mentioned, you've got Elijah Haven in your backyard. You've got Colton Nussmeier, who has the biology connection that you referenced. And, you know, you just kind of always felt like that it was going to really kind of come down to those two. And I go back to July 23rd when Peyton Houston, he had spoken to one of our national recruiting analyst, Brandon Huffman, and he mentioned 5 schools when he talked about, you know, the offenses that he could see himself fitting in and the schools that were recruiting him the hardest. And at that time, LSU wasn't even mentioned in those 5. And so at that point, you know, you really kind of started getting the feeling that, okay, you know, this guy's kind of been on the back burner for a while now because Elijah Haven, the number 1 prospect in the country, 10 miles from LSU's campus, grabbed a lot of headlines. And then the headlines that Haven didn't grab, Nussmeier grabbed them because of the obvious connection that he had. And so I think, you know, Houston was kind of, you don't want to say an afterthought, but you really kind of, I mean, he obviously didn't feel like he was a priority for LSU at that time because, like I said, he didn't even mention him. But I think a lot happened since then. Some of that being Frank Wilson getting more involved, and you know, LSU kind of looking at this from a perspective of, okay, you know, we've got two in-state quarterbacks. You go back and you look at the in-state quarterbacks. You know, you had Ricky Collins, who is now at Syracuse. Walker Howard didn't really work out either. And so you're looking at how it's gone in the past. And I think LSU just said, okay, look, we've got 3 guys that we would love to have. Obviously, you're not going to get all 3 of them. I don't even think you're going to get 2 of them. But you look at it and you say, we've got one who's ready to pop right now. how do you not say we're going to wait on the higher ranked, the higher ranked guy, or how do you say we're going to wait on the higher ranked guy, or we're going to wait on our starting quarterback's younger brother right now? So, LSU just pulled the trigger, and they got a good one in Houston.
Tell me about his game. I know some a little bit concerned with the size, but the production obviously has been incredible. What do you think about his game?
Yeah, I think I think the size questions are warranted. You kind of go back to Lindsey Scott. I think about Lindsey Scott when he came out of Zachary. Gatorade Player of the Year, just award after award. But you always had to worry about that height was always an issue, was always a problem. And, he just kind of got buried on the depth chart kind of early on, and just, I don't even know how many schools he went to, man. I think it was 6, if I'm not mistaken, But someone asked me that earlier. They said, hey, how do you compare him to Herb Tyler? And I was kind of thinking to myself, like, okay, how much do you remember about Herb Tyler throwing passes? Because, he wasn't exactly known for being a guy who was just, one of the SEC's best passers back when he was there. That dual threat is what kind of stood out. Where I think with Houston, I think he kind of has some of those same characteristics as far as running the football as Herb Tyler. But I think that his passing mechanics and stuff, if you're looking for a guy in the NFL, a guy who doesn't run quite as well as Russell Wilson kind of comes to mind. And, obviously not saying that he's going to be the next Russell Wilson, but just his game kind of reminds me of that, as well as when you're talking about, a guy who has less than ideal prototypical measurables.
You mentioned that you thought that LSU would probably only end up with one of those big 3 quarterbacks. You think that Colton Nussmeier and Elijah Haven are destined to go elsewhere now?
Man, I really don't know, and I guess really what kind of makes that question, even harder to digest is that, okay, you're wondering about all the dynamics that could happen over the next 17 months, with especially with LSU's pedestrian passing game that we've seen so far this year, but I'm not of the believer that in this day and age that you're going to pull a 2 quarterback class like a Jamarcus Russell and Matt Flynn, like LSU did way back in the day. I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that financially. I also don't think you can do that just because, quarterbacks, and this is not to say all quarterbacks are egotistical, but quarterbacks have egos. Quarterbacks want to be on the field. There's only one ball to go around. And so, I think that the prospect of LSU signing 2 in 2027 is going to be very, very slim. Now, that's not to say that that one of these other guys doesn't decide to jump on board, and then you've got a situation like that, which I guess would be a best case scenario type of situation. But I think that there's just so many obstacles to actually signing 2 of these guys and bringing them into the locker room at the same time. I just think that there's way too many obstacles for that.
So this is a 2027 commitment, meaning he's a junior in high school, talking about Peyton Houston. 2026, you still don't have a quarterback committed. You did not sign one in 2025. Do you think LSU will pull one in the 2026 class?
You had Landon Duckworth, who visited last weekend for the Louisiana Tech game. He's committed to South Carolina. He's a guy that LSU's kind of, gotten a lot more enamored with after Bo Bentley committed to Oklahoma and stuff. I think at this point, I think that no matter what you do at quarterback, I think that you have to go out and you're going to have to get an experienced portal guy. Unless, something happens to Michael Van Buren, plays 5 or 6 games, and he just shows us that he's ready to light it up. I think you go into next year with a lot of question marks at quarterback, and that there's not a high school quarterback on the landscape that's going to change that.
Right.
So do you take a high school kid thinking that you got your future guy in 2027, or do you just wait and use that spot on the transfer portal? Because, like I said, I think regardless of who they could sign, unless they can go out and and somehow pull a magical flip of Faison Bell, the number one guy in the country, Dia Bell, somebody like that committed to Texas, you tell him that you won't go get a portal guy, which I put those chances as remote as well, then I think you absolutely are just going to have to go and make your quarterback room a key destination for the top quarterbacks in the portal.
If you're looking for recruiting news, you can find it with the guys over at 24/7 Sports. Go 24/7. Glenn West always with us on Tuesdays. Sonny good enough to give us a little bit of time here as LSU grabs Peyton Houston from Evangel as a quarterback in the 2027 class. Sonny, thanks so much for your time.
Absolutely, man. You have a great day, brother.
You too. That is Sonny Shipp. I don't know anything, so this is purely speculation. Me just reading the outside here. I think LSU will very, very much pursue Elijah Haven and Colton Nussmeier in this class. Now, whether or not they can add one of those two, they won't get all three. I'm not naive enough to think that, but I think they will try to get two, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. As Sonny mentioned, you've got 15 months until these guys sign. And there was a lot of buzz around Elijah Haven in Florida like 3-4 weeks ago. And I cannot imagine that has any steam at this point. There is almost no chance Billy Napier is the head coach of Florida next year. Almost none. So I think that's going to cause a shift in what Elijah Haven may try to do. He never committed to Florida. There was just some buzz out there that was, and there were some folks that predicted that he would commit to Florida, and that may have sounded good 2 weeks ago. No, there's just no way. That Billy Napier has no chance of being the head coach there next year. So, I think that changes course there. The thought has been for a while that Colton Nussmeier would follow in Garrett's footsteps and come to LSU. I don't know if they'll get one of the other two. They won't get both, but I think there will be to quote Les Miles, there will be a want from LSU to get one more quarterback to go along with Peyton Houston. And it didn't sound like these guys have been asked about competition in their class previously and have always kind of said, I don't really worry too much about that. I just trust myself. And so this is good news for LSU to pull in a commitment from Peyton Houston, and I think they'll want to add to that. They got to try to get a high school guy in this class as well, but if you're looking at those three names that have been synonymous with LSU for the last year and a half, one of them in the boat now, and I think they'll try to get another one over the course of the next 15 months, but hopefully a commitment here in the next 2 or 3. We'll see. But a good job by Joe Sloan, Brian Kelly, and the LSU staff to get Peyton Houston. Evangel quarterback commits to LSU earlier today. All right, when we come back, how'd I do with my gambling picks? And I have some thoughts on some of those SEC games over the weekend. We'll talk about them next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carver and his team, phenomenal folks to work with on the insurance side of things. They are experts when it comes to analyzing coverage. If the only relationship you have with your insurance broker is that they show up and you hope the renewal premium is dipped a little bit, and that's really all you care about that one time a year you see them, do you know that your policy is written properly? Do you know you're with the right carrier? That's what the Highland Insurance Group does. They audit policies, make sure that everything is correct, and if it's not, they fix it, and that's how they win business and keep it. If you've got your insurance program with the Highland Insurance Group, you will know that you're taken care of from a coverage perspective, because you never know when that storm's coming, when that car accident's going to happen, when that lawsuit hits, when the injury and workers' comp situation presents itself. But you want to know that when it does happen, you don't have to go scrambling through your insurance policy to make sure that there's coverage there. You'll just know, because that's what they do at the Highland Insurance Group. If you want to pick up the phone, call insurance broker and say, hey, save me 25%, that's probably not the phone call to make. But if you want to make sure that good money that you spend on insurance for your business is doing what it's supposed to do, Jonathan Carbo and his team at the Highland Insurance Group can do it for you. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online, HighlandIG.com, HighlandIG.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So last week, after I went 2-9, my picks against the spread, I said there's a reason why I don't gamble my money against Las Vegas, who's clearly infinitely wiser than I am. And that was essentially backed up again this past week when 3 different games were decided by half a point on the spread, and I went 0-3. I had Georgia minus 3.5. They win by 3. I had Ole Miss minus 6.5. They win by 6. I had Kentucky minus 25.5. They win by 25. 3 hooks got me to a 4-6 week.
Yeah, and the Georgia one was just so bad because they should have lost. I mean,
I should not have covered the Georgia.
No, you should not have. But just still, it's just the fact that they scored a touchdown overtime, but because they didn't need to kick the extra point, they just won by 6.
Oh, they won by 6?
Or sorry, wait, no, they won by 3 because of the field goal.
Yeah,
so they just won. Yeah,
right, because they kicked the field goal. Yeah.
If they kicked the extra point, they would have won by 4.
Yeah, so just a 4-6 week. Poor work. What's that put us for the season? That's 12 and 20. That's not very good.
It's bad.
It's early. It's very early.
I told you what you need to do to fix this.
We're not going to do that.
Yes, you need to.
We'll decide by Friday. But let's talk about some of the games. So, let's do some of the ancillary topics, and then we'll get to the meat of the discussion. Wisconsin, Bama. Wisconsin's terrible. Whatever. Ty Simpson is playing very good. I know it doesn't count last week, but the Wisconsin game, when you come off of whatever he was, 17 for 17, and then at one point he was 30 out of 31. And if you watched the game, I'm not here to tell you Wisconsin's any good because they're not, but he was planting his back foot. The ball was coming out. He's obviously got weapons on the outside. Ryan Williams is a stud. They got dudes. He looked good. Ty Simpson looked good for Alabama last week. I don't know what it'll look like against Georgia, but I was unfortunately encouraged by Ty Simpson over the weekend. Thought he played very, very well. Okay. Arch Manning looks atrocious. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he was never very good. I don't know what, but he can't complete a pass against UTEP. Those first half numbers were shocking. Shocking at one point. You're talking about a completion percentage hovering around 18% against UTEP. He rallied with a couple of decent throws, one for a touchdown, but the interception he threw near the end zone, it looked like a 1A quarterback on a Friday night. It was awful. And I'm not here to end his career or suggest that everyone was wrong on him because his last name or all that kind of stuff. But it's now we're 3 weeks into this, and there's just not a lot of positive to look at with the way he's played. And it's very possible that he got hurt and he's limited in what he can do. But it's also possible. This is now I'm not going to go crazy after one game in the shoe on opening weekend. But now having watched 2 more games, especially on Saturday, it's possible he's not the answer. I'm not slamming the book. I'm putting it out there. And Texas has a roster full of really good players, but if your quarterback is bad, you have no chance. And it's possible the Texas quarterback is bad. We'll see.
Unfortunately, we won't really get an answer to that question for at least a couple more weeks because this coming week they play Sam Houston.
Correct.
And then they have a bye week in week 5, and then they play Florida. So even that is, Florida looks like they have a pretty good defense. So so we'll maybe get another answer.
If he
to that.
plays in the swamp like he played on Saturday, Texas will lose. It'll be 10-3, but Texas will lose.
Yeah.
So that was another little note. Vanderbilt, South Carolina, another small note. Obviously, Lenora Sellers goes out, but Vanderbilt just punked him. Punked him. Lenora Sellers doesn't play defense. Vandy comes up with 31 points. And they were just more physical than South Carolina. If you watch the game, I know a lot of folks are watching LSU at that point. I got press box TVs, and I can see both. And I was sitting next to Chris Marler, who hosts Locked On South Carolina, so he's watching the game. And Vandy just bullied them. And I will come to the table and say Vanderbilt's well coached. They know what they're doing. I still contend the talent level is low. but they know what they're doing. Clark Lee coaches them well. And there's something to be said for that. And I still don't think they're going to beat the elite teams in the SEC, but dadgum. They put South Carolina in a locker pretty quick. So that was impressive stuff by them. Okay, let's get to the big stories. We'll start with Georgia and Tennessee. I thought Josh Heupel's possession with an 8-point lead late in that game was terrible. They run the ball, lose a yard, 2nd and 11. They run the ball again for 2 yards, 3rd and 9, and run the ball again and punt. You've got a quarterback in Aguilar who has shredded Georgia. You have 38 points on the board against that Georgia defense. I know that he thinks his defense is good. I know that he trusts his home crowd and his guys to get one stop with an 8-point lead to win the game. But you've got to let your guy go try to make a play at home.
Are you talking about when they kicked the field goal?
They punted.
When was that?
At the end of their last drive. And they punted it back to Georgia, who went down and got a field goal. Got a touchdown and went for 2 to tie the game. It was their second to last drive.
I think that was a field goal.
Oh,
too.
They kicked a long field goal.
They kicked a long
field goal.
Yeah.
They didn't try to move the ball.
No,
forward.
they didn't.
They just got into a show. How long was the field goal?
48.
48. Unacceptable. My bad. I had the play calls written down. I didn't have the result because I was ticked off at the 3 play calls. Let your quarterback try to get a first down. If you try to move the ball closer and then you can kick a 48-yard field goal for a college kicker is what? 55%?
Maybe. The guy missed the 40-yarder to win it, so.
I can't. That's not the aggressive play calling that you've got to use to go beat Georgia. I was doing the pregame show at that point, which is why I wasn't as locked in as I needed to be, but I saw they just ran the ball 3 times. That's ridiculous. You've got to try to move the ball closer and put a nail through Georgia. They didn't do it. I hated that. I did think Gunnar Stockton played great. I did think that Aguilar played great. I did think that it was impressive that Josh Heupel could get his team to score 38 points on that Georgia defense. Those 2 teams are good. I said in July in Atlanta at SEC Media Days, I thought Tennessee would be bad. Tennessee, not bad. I thought they were impressive against Syracuse. Bad Syracuse team, but I thought they were impressive. And I was really impressed with what I saw from them on Saturday. Excuse me. That is a great environment, and Josh Heupel got good quarterback play. And there's going to be a lot made about Aguilar and Nico trading spots and where those 2 programs are at this 2 point. That's a different discussion, but impressive stuff. Georgia's just an incredible program to win tough, gritty games like that on the road where they're trailing basically the whole game. Impressive stuff. Tennessee looks good. I think Heupel failed in there with those play calls. And then you go to Notre Dame. And I said this after the first week, and I said this after the second week. Nobody's watching because they're playing terrible teams, and it doesn't matter, but Marcel Reed looked pretty good in their first 2 weeks. The defense looked terrible. They're playing teams they should run off the field in Utah State and Texas San Antonio, and they didn't because their defense didn't play well. But Marcel Reed looks good. The ball comes out of his hand good. His arm looks good. He's obviously a very good athlete, and he played great against Notre Dame, no doubt. Played great. Their defense has some significant work to do, but if you were looking at the way that Texas A&M played LSU last year, and that's your impression of Marcel Reed, he's just a runner, he can't throw the ball, I'm just telling you, he's a lot better than that. He can play. He can throw the ball, and Colin Klein is doing a good job with him. They've got real weapons on the outside. Craver and Concepcion, their 2 transfers they brought in at wide receiver. Those guys are making huge plays every week. Punt returns, screens that they take to the house, deep balls. Like, those 2 dudes are a problem. We know that A&M has a good offensive line that is very veteran, and we know Le'Veon Moss can run the ball. Like, they're good on offense. If Elko can find something on defense, they're going to be a problem. And here's the deal. Texas A&M's schedule is pretty easy when you consider that it is an SEC slate. Like, they have very, very manageable stuff on this schedule moving forward. They do not play Georgia. They do not play Alabama. They can. It's hard to find 3 losses for Texas A&M right now. You look at their schedule, and they jumped over that landmine at Notre Dame. Like, They got Auburn coming to Texas A&M. They could definitely lose that game, but I think they're going to win it at home. They've got Mississippi State coming to College Station. I don't think they're going to lose that game. They go to Florida. I don't think they're going to lose that game. They play Arkansas on the road. I don't think they're going to lose that game. Then they come to Tiger Stadium. That's going to be a tough one for them to win. They go to Missouri. That's certainly a landmine.
Offense is good. I mean, that's the one thing about A&M. Their defense is not playing very
South Carolina comes to College Station, and they go to Texas, who's not kind of what we thought they were 3 weeks ago to me. I just told you about Arch Manning. So, I can get you to 3 losses, but it's working. There's not... Put it this way. I don't see one game on that schedule where I look at that and I go, they're not going to win that game. I don't see one of those. If they had to go to Tuscaloosa, if they had to go to Athens, they had to go to Knoxville, I really wouldn't feel good about them winning those games. And you could say the same thing about LSU. I'm a little bummed on the LSU offense right now, candidly. I'm hopeful that something happens in the next 2 weeks with Nussmeier's health, that kicks into gear. I've not dismissed LSU's offense in any way, and I'm really excited that they're 3-0. But the way that they're playing on offense right now, I don't think it's sustainable to win against the best teams in the league. So that's where I am on that, and we'll talk about that when we have to. But A&M's good, and I think they're going to make the playoff, which eats at my soul. They needed to lose that game at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's going to be a very interesting test case.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting, because they might win their next 10.
And a lot of people still have them ranked pretty highly, even though they are 0-2.
Pull up Notre Dame's schedule, because they are 0-2.
Yep.
And I just don't know if they're going to lose again. You find the loss for me.
They have one opponent currently that is ranked in the top 25. That is USC at home. I think they're going to beat USC at home.
Probably.
They go on the road to play Arkansas, which that could be interesting.
Talon Green gives Arkansas a chance.
He does.
It's unorthodox, but he's a good athlete, and Petrino is brilliant. He's just probably not a guy that you want to hang out with too often. He's really good at coaching football. But they're not. I don't think they're going to lose that game.
No, probably not. But
and if they do, then the conversation's over.
They play a really bad Boise State team at home. They play North Carolina State at home, who's okay. They go on the road to Boston College.
Terrible.
They play Navy at home. They go on the road to Pitt.
Terrible.
They play Syracuse at home, and then Stanford on the road. It's their final game.
So yeah, I mean, I think they're going to win their next 10, and if they will be a great test case, because they will not have a good win.
Nope.
If that's the case, they will not have a good win.
But it's Notre Dame, Hunt. They always usually get the benefit of the doubt.
We'll see. I'm curious to see how that happens. I sincerely hope that we're grinding this with LSU's resume being put right up there. I tell you all the time, some of my favorite things to grind all year are how the things are shaken up in the baseball selection committee stuff. And I just find it fascinating, because I think it's more interesting than the basketball stuff. Because in basketball, if you're between a 4 seed and a 12 seed, it doesn't really matter all that much. In baseball, you've got to be in the top 8, got to be in the top 16, got to be in the top 32. And then it's just interesting to me how all that stuff shakes out. And we now have that opportunity with football. Just LSU played their way out of us discussing it in earnest last year. We'll hopefully see them paired with teams like Notre Dame, potentially A&M, who are playoff teams when that time comes. A&M looks pretty damn good to me. All right, that's it for my thoughts around the SEC. Talk to Denton Day next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is that website. Just go by and see them. You will be blown away by their staff, by the facility, and ultimately by the line of vehicles that you test drive. It's a luxury brand at a reasonable price, and it's experience when you go by there. The facility is first class, incredible ambiance in there. It feels like you're walking into a spa, not a car dealership. The staff's going to treat you like a guest, not a customer. They're going to help you get behind the wheel. They're not going to try to upsell you or pressure you, all those negative stereotypes that you hear about on a car lot. And the fact of the matter is that most of you listening have never been behind the wheel of a Genesis. Change that. Go see them. Get behind the wheel of one of their sedans. Get behind the wheel of one of the SUVs. I love the GV80. It's my favorite vehicle that they've got. Got behind the wheel of one a couple of weeks ago. It's great. Go see them. Every single model in the line comes with an IHA top safety pick. All of them. So it's one of the safest cars on the road. They're airline and PQ. You can find them online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. Genesis of Baton Rouge. genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
to the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotlines where we find our guy Denton Day, SiriusXM's College Football Overtime, with us talking national college football storylines every Monday. Denton, how are you, sir?
I'm good, man. You want to talk about offense and offense on third downs, the running game maybe? Like, what's on your mind?
He apologized today. I think it was the order of the questions as opposed to the question itself that kind of irked Brian Kelly, but all is well now. He's apologized to Michael Cauble, and we're off and running on Southeastern week here in Baton Rouge. Let's talk about what we saw over the weekend. I want to start in South Bend. Texas A&M gets a late touchdown to beat Notre Dame, who ultimately loses because they can't execute an extra point. What'd you learn in that game?
I learned that Marcel Reed is a gamer, man. Yeah. I mean, I thought he played really, really well. Notre Dame's in a weird spot because now they're 0-2, and they don't have a whole lot of big opponents on their schedule to come. I think they're in trouble. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I took away from that is that Notre Dame is in a little bit of trouble. Obviously, you know, it feels so early to talk about the college football playoff in September, but they kind of forced our hand to it. It's all that everyone really cares about now. And you look at Notre Dame's schedule with the goal being to get there, and there's just not a lot of opportunities for them to really stun people or showcase what they are to people. I mean, maybe like a USC gets ranked, or maybe like Navy's ranked 24th by the time they play Navy, but like, is that really going to be a massive head-turning win? So I think we learned that Notre Dame, even though I actually thought they played relatively decent, this is a much different Notre Dame team this year than it was last year.
What about Clemson? They go on the road and lose to Georgia Tech. How are we feeling about that?
They are booty cheeks. Oh, man, brutal. I mean, brutal. And I was the idiot that came on with you and said, I think Clemson's going to win the national championship.
Yep.
I think this is much more like a 2018 Clemson team than we've seen. Oh, my God. What an idiotic thing to say. Lord have mercy. They suck. Cade Klubnik stinks. He was on like some podcast. Oh, I forget the name of the podcast, and I apologize to that podcast. But he's like, yeah, everyone always wants me to stink. I was like, we don't have to want right now, bro. Like, he is really just not that good. He was not the best quarterback on the field going up against the guy in Haynes King. That's like, he's a fun quarterback, but I've never watched a lot of games and thought this guy's like legitimately the best quarterback on the field. He was the best quarterback on the field. It's kind of embarrassing for Clemson. We were sold a bill of goods, and right now it's nothing but theft.
Should you feel differently about LSU then with that statement?
Maybe a little bit, but LSU has now showcased over the course of consecutive weeks that defensively they're still really good. So I think if it was just that game against Clemson and then the next two, like a Florida went and hung 35 on them and they won in a shootout, maybe you feel a little differently, but they've just put together 3 consecutive games of not allowing the opposition to put up a lot of points. So I don't think I feel too much differently about LSU, even though I think Clemson stinks.
My favorite LSU defense stat is that they've only allowed 3 red zone possessions total in 3 games. They are just not allowing teams to get into scoring territory, which has been good to watch here in Baton Rouge. I guess we can stay there. LSU beats Florida 20-10. Billy Napier's offense with DJ Lagway just not able to do anything. 5 interceptions. Is it panic time in Gainesville? Is that show over?
Yeah, I think it is, because at the very least last year you could say, well, they didn't give up on him. And I don't know if they've fully given up on him yet, but it sure looks like they're trending in that direction a lot more than they were last year. Now, they still have opportunities to sway that. Like, it really does come down to one massive SEC win can completely turn the tide of your season. And thankfully, for Florida, we know they got a lot of those, right? Because their schedule is an absolute, gauntlet. So they're going to have many opportunities to potentially swing their season. The question is, how many opportunities are they going to have to blow through before eventually Billy Napier is just not there anymore? It's an unfortunate situation because I do think he's a good coach. There's just, for whatever the reason was, the marriage was not perfect with him and Florida, and you don't really have a fallback now that DJ Lagway is playing and not performing to the standard that he needs to.
Playing and not performing to the standard that he needs to. Let's talk about Arch Manning and Texas. Are you on the panic button yet?
Maybe not the panic button, but this is more of just the reality button. Is there a button for that? Like, it's
sure.
Reality coming and crashing down on everybody. I never understood why people thought that one really good game against Mississippi State was all of a sudden going to turn this guy into Jesus in Austin, right? Like, I want Arch Manning to be successful. I think college football is better when programs like Texas are very successful, but he's not at the level yet where he is going to lift a program. Like, the program right now needs to lift him. It looks like he has a little bit of the yips. So I don't know how you fix that as a quarterback. I think what you need to do, you got to just go out there and tell him to throw down the field a bunch. But these are the games where you're supposed to be doing that. And at least this weekend, there was not a lot of that. The numbers that they put up offensively against the UTEP team is just really despicable for how talented Texas is. So not panicking, but just realizing this was always going to be the reality of what Texas was in 2025.
Georgia and Tennessee played a classic on Rocky Top. Bulldogs do what they generally do, found a way to win a big game, and Tennessee comes up a little bit short. What was the most significant result from that game?
I was really impressed with the way that Kirby Smart coached in comparison to the way that Josh Heupel coached. I don't know if he doesn't properly understand math, and maybe he thought 5 + 3 = 9, but I cannot fathom why in the fourth quarter, after that turnover, he was as conservative as he was to just settle for the 3. You have to understand in that situation, you go for the kill. You have the king on the ropes. You got to go for the, like, you haven't beat this team since 2016. You have to go for the kill. So the fact that they didn't, and then they just allowed for a field goal, and then Georgia marched right down, tied it. Like, I could not fathom his decision making there. And that really speaks to, on one side, you have a truly elite coach in Kirby Smart, and on the other side, you have a really, really good coach in Josh Heupel. But the one thing that's stopping him from being elite is those sorts of decisions. It always feels like Kirby Smart is on the right side of decision making. He's not 100%, but it feels like more often than not he's on the right side. And at least in this scenario, Josh Heupel was very much on the wrong side.
Is there a chance that Ty Simpson's figuring some things out? I said in my last segment, I thought he played pretty damn good on Saturday. I don't think Wisconsin's any good, but that many completions in a row is that many completions in a row.
I think he's trending in the right direction. These are what these games are kind of supposed to be, right? Like, this is kind of what makes the Arch Manning thing a little bit more frustrating. I mean, Wisconsin is obviously a little bit different than UTEP, but these are get-right games. So then when you get to play SEC teams, you're in rhythm. And it feels like Ty Simpson is getting into a rhythm. On top of that, I just happen to think that Florida State is pretty good, at least better than we thought they were going to be coming into this season. So I think Alabama is trending definitely in the right direction. And I don't know that Ty Simpson is a world beater by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I certainly don't think he's going to put that many completions in a row against a quality SEC team, but it's nice to see them get some sort of rhythm offensively. So I do think that they're trending in the right direction.
Oklahoma does have a tough schedule. They got to play Texas. They got to play LSU. They've got to play Ole Miss. They got to play Alabama. Like, it's a hard schedule, but what do you think about that team and their chances to be a playoff team?
They are going to go as far as John Mateer takes them. Defensively, they're good. We know this. Brent Venables, we know what he brings defensively. If Mateer can step up in the big games, which he did against Michigan, but Michigan didn't have an offense. If he can step up in the big games against well-balanced teams, then this Oklahoma team has an opportunity not just to make the college football playoff, but potentially play for the SEC championship. I think we're going to see another scenario where you're seeing maybe the potential of two two-loss teams, maybe not two two-loss SEC teams, but two just general two-loss teams playing in the SEC championship. So I think Oklahoma certainly has a chance. They're going to earn it if they get there with that schedule. It's not quite Florida's, as you know, but it's very, very dangerous. So I think this upcoming weekend against Auburn is going to be a real test just to kind of see what he looks like against SEC competition. But if this guy ends up being a real deal and a legitimate Heisman candidate, I think they're absolutely going to be playoff bound.
Who's the best team in the country?
I'm going to still reluctantly say Ohio State, but I'm trending a little bit more. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, let alone on the radio, Hunt. Kind of like Miami.
Woo!
Yeah,
Coach Cristobal?
I know. I don't. Cristobal is going to screw something up at some point. Like, we know that's going to happen. You look at their schedule, you're like, all right, which game is the game that he's going to screw up? But they have something going in the right direction. We'll see against Florida State in a couple weeks. That'll be a real telltale sign. But Carson Beck looks good, man. I didn't think that was possible. I thought he was kind of buns. I thought Georgia got way better and letting him go. But Miami, it's the island of misfit toys, I guess, between those two. But they're going in the right direction, it seems.
It takes a lot to get me away from an SEC game on a Saturday, no matter what time of day. But sign me up for Miami and Florida State if they both think they're good. That is generally speaking very, very interesting stuff. So we shall see. Dan, we appreciate the time. We'll talk next week.
Hunt, appreciated. Everybody in Baton Rouge, pray for Jane Daniels' knee. Please and thank you.
We will. We'll give knees for our guy, Jaden Daniel. He's Denton Day, Sirius XM's College Football Overtime with us every single Monday. Jaden potentially might miss a week with a little bit of a knee issue that he suffered back on Thursday night. So we'll see what the results are of practice this week and whether or not he can return to action for Washington. Joe and Jaden both banged up after week 2. Come back and close it out next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Vaughn and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. My guy Brian Haldane, Talk 107.3 morning show host, also producer for us in the LSU Sports Radio Network, was chatting with me the other day. Said, "Who's the guy with the bathrooms? I think I got to redo a couple bathrooms." So David Vaughn, One Bath and Closets, been at it for 30 years. He can help you do it. It can be any size remodel. They are perfectly capable of installing a shower, dealing with the entire vanity situation, putting in brand new floors. Like, they can do everything you need them to do. They can also do simple stuff like a tub to shower conversion that can be done in about 3 days. Like, any range of renovation or remodel that you're looking to do, David Vaughn and his team can make it happen for you. And they also have financing options available, 0% up to 18 months. That's the same as cash. If you can qualify, go see pictures of their great work, see the testimonials from their satisfied customers, request that free consultation at OneBathAndClosets.com, OneBathAndClosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Failure happens to us all, but it's how champions evolve. The only thing that matters from a loss is if you get back up when you fall. You gotta get up.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and First American Bank and Trust bring you the Heart of the Game Award, recognizing student athletes who deliver when it counts. Nominate your game day standout at 1045ESPN.com. By the 21st of September, we'll choose 5 male and 5 female finalists, and then it's up to the fans to vote for the winners. Each winner gets a $250 gift card, a custom award, and the spotlight they've earned. Presented by First American Bank and Trust, a banking tradition since 1910.
Wrapping things up here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Fired up for tomorrow's show. We'll have our normals. That'll be Glenn West talking Tigers. We'll have Colin Jeter in studio from the Alumni Association. Saw Colin back on Friday. Great event there where we got a chance to sit down with Charles Alexander, Kevin Falk, Colin himself, as well as Jared Mitchell. So we'll chat with him about that and the game back on Saturday. And then Sharif Ishak will join us, talk all things New Orleans Saints. So lots to do on tomorrow's show. Fired up for that, but let's close things out with a little Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Presented to you by Flight by Yingling, the next generation of light beer, crafted by America's oldest brewery. Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer. Each time you're swinging by to grab a 6-pack, maybe a 12-pack, grab Flight by Yingling. It has got all the flavor that you're looking for, only 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, brewed by the oldest brewery in America, still family-owned and operated today. That is Yingling. Flight by Yingling, next generation of light beer.
The Shark Dogs covered the spread. Take it or leave it.
Gotta leave that one. Gotta leave it. I think my dad kept score. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of like 15 or 16 to 3 or 4.
Let me guess. Myers scored all the goals.
Myers had, I believe, 2 in the proper goal, 1 in the wrong goal.
Oh, yeah.
Which
that happens.
There was some accusations going around that potentially he was doing some point shaving based on the number that I had set
Myers.
On Friday's show.
Myers was +8.
I don't know.
Line was +8.
I don't know that he was doing that for sure, but I can't prove he wasn't. So he did. He put one in the wrong net.
I have to get an interview with him to see what happened there.
A lot of breakaways for the Myers man. It went awry on Saturday. We got a lot of that were kicked out like 15 yards beyond the goal.
Well, that's the thing.
We couldn't get it between the pipes.
Yeah, at this point, he's kicking it straight, and it doesn't matter which direction. If he's kicking it straight out of bounds, it's going out of bounds. That's just how it goes. I mean, but hey,
Shark
it's a good
Dogs
performance.
took it on the chin again.
Yeah, that's all right.
They had cupcakes after the game. It was one kid's birthday.
Beautiful.
Huge treat afterward.
All right, next one here. The New York Jets, not good.
No.
Justin Fields, not very good, but also got hurt.
Yep.
The Jets plan to play Tyrod Taylor in case Justin Fields is out. Tyrod starting again, taking it or leave it.
Pete. I mean, got to take it.
I'll take it.
Wouldn't be the NFL if Tyrod Taylor was on the Virginia Tech team when they came here in 2007.
That's a long time ago.
That was 18 years ago.
Yeah.
Still backing up. I mean, that guy's going to get a healthy pension when his time is done. It's
Him and
based on
Jameis. They always just find the right team where somebody gets hurt.
Here,
and
I'll take $1.2 million. I'll hold a clipboard.
Yeah.
If somebody gets hurt, I'll go out there and lose a couple games. No big deal. So, yeah, shout out Tyrod. Way to go.
That's it.
Awesome. All right, if you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Talked about LSU's defense to open the show. Talked about the offense, including the Garrett Nussmeier injury. If you're just getting off work or hopping in the car, Brian Kelly said today that Nussmeier's been battling through a torso injury and that he can't shut it down to the bye week. I disagree with that vehemently and told you about that early on today. You can catch that all at Hunt on LSU. Also talked to Sonny Shipp about the commitment that LSU got from Peyton Houston. That's at Hunt on LSU as well. Saints reaction. I like Spencer Rattler on Sunday. Thought he played well. Not real thrilled with the rest of the outfit, but I thought he was good. So you can get that at Hunt on Saints. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow for Tuesday edition. Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.